This is Math 2, 9.5 homework questions. So that's off of this worksheet here. And I'm doing numbers 3, 9, 10, and 12. You should have a calculator out. Okay, starting off with number 3. Up here it says solve for the following, show work, leave answers in terms of pi, and or in simplest radical form when appropriate. Okay, so they write their volume formula a little different than we did in notes. I wrote mine as area of the base times height divided by 3. It works the same as 1/3 area of the base times height. I just like it this way when I'm doing it in class. Okay, so the right square-based pyramid with the base edge of 16 and a slant height of 10. Remember in notes when I told you this, area of the base times height divided by 3, I told you that the height here is the height of the prism, not the slant height. So is it okay to plug in 10 for the slant height? Is it okay, to plug in 10 for the height in this formula? No, because 10 is the slant height. This is not the slant height. This is the perpendicular height. Okay, so if the slant height is 10, this is the slant height here, how do I find the regular height, the perpendicular height? I make a right triangle. This is 10. This is the height I need, the height I'm looking for right there. And this edge, let's see, what is the base edge? Base edge is 16, which means I know the area of the base. The base edge is 16, so this little tiny piece would be half of that, which would be 8. Because it's a square base, that middle piece is always, well, with any base, that piece coming right down the middle is going to be cutting your base edge in half. Okay, I am going to do h squared plus 8 squared equals 10 squared. H squared plus 64 equals 100. Subtract the 64 over. H squared equals 36. Square root, remember instead of doing plus and minus like we used to, we only take the positive because we're dealing with side lengths. Okay, we just found this height to be 6, so that right there is 6. Which all I need to do now is find the area of the base, which is pretty easy because it's a square, it's just length times width, and since it's a square, it's 16 times 16. So plug in your calculator, 16 squared, or 16 times 16, you get 256. All right, so we're ready for our volume. Volume equals 256 times the height, which we just found previously to be 6, divided by 3. So plug that in your calculator, 256 times 6 divided by 3, you end up with 512. Volume equals 512. Did they give us units? No, so cubic units. You'd write that answer right over there. All right, moving on. Next one I'm going to do is number 9. A right cone with a radius of 15 and a volume of 600 pi, find the height. Okay, the height is what I'm looking for, and they give me the volume. So if they give you the volume, remember you're working backwards. Okay, I'm going to write the formula down. Volume equals 4 area of the base times height divide by 3. And I don't know where I know where I got the 4 from. It's because I was working out the circle problems. I'm going to start that over. Okay, volume is area of the base times height divided by 3. I started getting my sphere problems worked out in there and got myself confused. I apologize. Volume is area of the base times height divided by 3. Okay. Volume, which is 600 pi, they give us that, equals area of the base times height divided by 3. Now, I don't know the height, that's what I'm looking for, so I'm going to leave that as h. I am going to multiply both sides by 3. So that gives me 1800 pi equals area of the base times height. Okay, I'm looking for h. And what does big B stand for? The area of the base. So since it's a circular base, that's going to be, I'm going to write it again, 1800 pi equals area of the base is pi r squared times h. Okay. So what can I do? Well, before I plug anything in, I can get rid of the pi because I can divide both sides and it's gone, leaving me with 1800 equals r squared times h. I'm looking for h. Do I know what r is? R is the radius, and sure enough I do. So 15 squared times h. So 1800 equals 15 times 15, plug it in your calculator. It's 225h, and height is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to divide both sides by 225. So 1800 divided by 225 equals 8. And that's what we're looking for, is the h. H is 8 units. All right, the next one I'm going to do is number 10, which got split between 2 pages. So I'm going to read it and flip it and work it on the next page. A right cone with a volume of 432 pi and a height of 9, find the slant height. Okay, they give us volume, so again we're working backwards. So I'm going to flip it over. Here's the image. And what was the given information? The volume was 432 pi and the height is 9. Okay, so volume equals area of the base times height, divide by 3. Volume equals area of the base times height. Okay, actually, I can plug volume in. 432 pi equals area of the base, I don't know, times height I know is 9, divided by 3. Now, if you wanted to, you could do the 9 divided by 3. I'm just going to multiply it over the way I've been doing it in notes. Gone. You do 432 times 3 and end up with 1296 pi equals area of the base times 9. Next thing I'm going to do is divide both sides by 9. So same number I have in my calculator, the 1296 divided by 9, you end up with 144. All right, what is it that they're asking us to find again? Let's see, they're asking us to find the slant height. They're asking us to find the slant height. So this is the piece they're asking us to find right here. Now, would you agree, in order to find that piece, I could use a right triangle, 9x, but I would need to know this so I can use Pythagorean's theorem. Now, this little piece that I squiggled happens to be my radius. So how can I find the radius? By finishing off this piece here. Area of the base, because the base is a circle, is pi r squared. So first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the pi's, divide both sides by pi. Gone and gone. 144 equals r squared. Square root both sides, and no plus or minus because it's a side length, so r equals 12. And now we're ready to find the slant height. So all of this was to find the radius, and the radius will help us find the slant height using Pythagorean's theorem. 9 squared plus 12 squared equals x squared. 81 plus 144 equals x squared. Plug the 144 plus 81 in your calculator. You get 225 equals x squared. Inverse operations, you square root both sides. No plus or minus because we're dealing with side lengths. Square root of 225 is 15. So 15 is the length of my slant height. Okay, moving right along, I am going to move on to number 12. Number 12 is a pretty cool problem. It's really nice when you can wrap your head around it and, oh, that makes sense. There's more than one way to do it. I will show you both ways. You do not have to know both ways, but you decide which way you like better. Okay, first, let's read it. Pringles are sold in tall and short cylindrical containers. The area of the base of each container is 16 pi centimeters. So this 16 pi centimeters is for the area of the base. So they have the same base. It's just one's taller than the other, but the base size is the same. The volume of the short container is 128 pi. So they gave you the volume of the short container, centimeters cubed. The tall container is 6 centimeters taller than the short container. What is the volume of the tall can? That's the question. What's the volume of the tall can? Okay, now here's what we're going to do. In order to find the volume of a cylinder, in order to find the volume, it's the area of the base times the height. No divide by 3 because it's not a pyramid or a cone. Okay, so I know the area of the base. I'm going to write that right here. Area of the base is 16 pi. They gave that to us. Already worked out. We didn't have to find it. It was a freebie gift. They gave it to us. The area of the base is 16 pi. Already given. Pi r squared is done for us. Okay. What is the height? What we're going to do is we're going to try to find the height so that I can do area of the base times the height, and then I know the volume. Okay, so all I know is that this container is 6 centimeters taller than this container. So if this container is H, this one is H plus 6. I know that. I don't know the height of the smaller container, but I know the height of the larger one is 6 centimeters taller, so H plus 6. All right, I am going to work backwards to find the height of the smaller container. Volume equals area of the base times height. They gave us the volume as 128 pi. That was freebie given information. Area of the base was also freebie, 16 pi times H. Now I'm going to divide both sides by two things at one time, the 16 and the pi. The pi is just going to automatically cross out, and then I will divide 128 divided by 16, and that gives me 8. The height is 8. So if this height is 8, this height is 8 plus 6, which is 14. And now I'm ready to find the volume of the taller can. The volume equals area of the base, freebie, 16 pi, times the height. We just found it to be 14. We did all this work to find that 14. And you plug in your calculator, 16 times 14, and you get 224 pi centimeters cubed. And you are done. Now, I'm going to show you another way. If you feel like I like this way, you can stop it here. If you feel like, oh, I'm not going to remember that way, show me another way. Or you just want to hear both to decide which way you like better, that is up to you. Okay, I'm just going to quickly do a redraw of the two cans. Okay, so we know the volume of the smaller can is 128 pi, and we know the taller can is 6 centimeters taller. So I'm just going to do ... here. I know this bottom volume is equivalent to this one. So I know this shaded piece here is 128 pi centimeters cubed. That was given to us. All I need to do is find the volume of the top piece and add the two together. So this here is 6 centimeters taller, so this little height here is 6. So I'm going to find the volume of that little green piece, add it to the purple piece, and I'm done. Volume equals area of the base. It's still the same base. It's still the 16 pi. Just because I cut it the top half doesn't mean the base changed. It's still 16 pi times this little height here, which is 6. And you do 16 times 6 gives you 96. So the volume of the green piece up here is 96. The volume of the purple piece is 128, and you add the two together. 128 pi plus 96 pi, plug that in your calculator, and voila, we end up with 224. Just like before, 224 pi centimeters cubed. Up to you on which method you like best. That's the method you would use. All right, that is it for this section of homework questions.